Good evening and welcome to See You at USC. I'm your Wednesday night host, Alexia Narcisse, and today I am here with Richard Whitley, who's a screenwriter and he teaches here at USC. Stay tuned. We are back. I am here with Richard Whitley. For those of you who do know, have you seen Recess? Have you maybe seen Roseanne? Have you seen Rock and Roll High School? This is the guy behind the magic. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you as well. So I've got to ask you, within those three films that I named, they're known everywhere, film and TV, I should say. What brought you into this industry? Because your impact was, of course, huge.
Oh, well, thank you. If you could just walk with me to all the meetings and tell people that my impact was huge, that'd be very nice. But I loved movies and television ever since I was a kid. I was the class clown, and then at the age of 14, I saw Woody Allen's Take the Money and Run, and my head exploded and said, I need to do this. So I started writing things down and got a Super 8 camera and started to make movies. And
by yourself? So you
well, with my friends,
okay.
You know, with some friends, fellow like-minded knuckleheads, and so I always knew from like 14 on, you know, that this is what I wanted to do, and I rode my bike, went to the movies every week, and my parents loved movies. My dad would let me stay up and watch movies, but only when they were his favorite, like war movies or westerns. So inadvertently, I saw the films of John Ford and Howard Hawks that when I got to film school, I knew all these movies that other
that were
students
applicable, yeah, towards your degree.
Absolutely, and so then I went to I'm from suburb of Chicago, and I went to Illinois State for 2 years. Took every film class and TV and radio class, and then I applied to USC, and I got accepted. And so I put everything out into my car and I headed out to USC. But unfortunately, in the days before computers were prevalent, they had accidentally put me from a production major, which I had the letter of acceptance, to a history and criticism major, which I didn't want. I didn't want to. I wanted to make movies, and so they said, "Sorry, that's full." And I said, "What if I take a semester of history and criticism? Can I then
switch
transfer?"
over?
And they said, well, "Only if there's a space." My parents said, "Can't pay private school prices if you're not."
You're not getting the education you wanted.
That's right. So went back to Illinois and worked at the railroad for a while, but just watching movies and everything, and then went to Southern Illinois University, and my goal was to see 365 movies a year. And fell in love one summer, so I only saw 320. But I was writing scripts and writing Bob Newhart scripts on TV, and you know, just watching movies and writing scripts, and then determined to come on out. And so I put everything out into my car, which most important was the TV and the typewriter and a 220-page screenplay.
Good Lord.
And just headed on out, and I was just going to do it. And in those days, Roger Corman was the guy that was known for giving a lot of people their break, whether it was Martin Scorsese or Jack Nicholson or people like that, or Peter Bogdanovich. And so a guy I went to college with, Russ Devanche, we went to Southern Illinois University. We went to Roger Corman's offices with our student film in hand, 16 millimeter in a can, and said, we want to, you know, work for Roger Corman, and we want him to show him our movies. And they said, no. Can we be PAs? No, get away. They've heard this so often. And so then we said, are Alan Arkush and Joe Dante here? Because they had directed a movie called Hollywood Boulevard that as part of the College Film Society we had booked. And it was this movie made for 60 grand using outtakes from other movies. They were editors at Roger Corman. And it was just this, about a murder on a movie set. It was just crazy. And they said, yeah, they're right over there. So we went over to Alan Arkush and Joe Dante and said, we love your movie, Hollywood Boulevard. And they go, you saw our movie? Our parents saw it, and that's all. We said, I knew lines from it. And they said, oh my God. And I go, would you look at our student film? And they said, sure.
Of course.
And so then the secretary said, oh, you know them. So she called us
Okay,
over.
so now you've got some validity.
Yes, right.
All right.
And she said, do you want to earn $15? And we said, absolutely. So we showed up.
There's Hollywood Boulevard, actually.
There we go, Hollywood Boulevard, absolutely. That's the movie that I saw that Alan Arkush and Joe Dante directed. And so, but the next day, they want to earn $15. And so we showed up at Griffith Park and we were mutants. They cut ping pong balls in half and they put them on our eyes.
Stop.
And it was in the cave that was famous as the Bat Cave, and that the doors with Jim Morrison posed in front of him. It was a very famous cave where Roger Corman made all his B movies. And so we were there for like 12 hours, and they said, anyone want to do stunt work? And I said, Russ, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so I was killed by David Carradine twice. And then about a week later, Alan Arkush and Joe Dante called Russ, my writing partner, Russ Devanch, because I didn't have a phone, and they said, come on in. And they saw our student films, and they gave us a script called Girls' Gym that Roger Corman had already greenlit. But they said, it's not funny. It needs to be funny, and your student film is pretty funny. Take any 20 or 30 pages out and make it funny, and that's your test.
Wow.
And so we went and sat in my little kitchen in my studio apartment, and we just rewrote the first 30 pages and put in, I mean, after years of watching Woody Allen and Monty Python, and you know, we didn't steal, those were our influences, and Buster Keaton, we just put everything that we would ever want to see in a movie in it. And we gave it to them, and they said, great, we're going to hire you to write this movie. We'll get you in the Writers Guild. And
oh my goodness.
so it happened very fast, and it was all going to happen, oh my God, within like a few months of me being in town. And then the director of the Mutant movie dropped out, and Alan Arkush had to direct that, so I had to get a job. And so it wasn't going to happen so fast, and so I got a job as a Universal Studios tour guide, and so, which was across the street from where I lived. And I knew this studio inside and out because I had no money, and I used to sneak onto the lot and eat craft service and watch them film Columbo because I didn't have any money to buy food, and take scripts because there was no internet to see scripts, so I'd see what scripts are like and watch them film. And so I was a tour guide at Universal Studios, and at night I would write with Russ, and then in the day as a tour guide I would test the jokes out from Rock and Roll High School.
Wow.
Which was
fun.
fun.
So you literally, 24 hours running around the clock, you were actually chasing your dream.
Nonstop. Well, you know what? Right out of college, I'm going to live forever. No one's said no yet.
Yeah.
You know, and you just have to do it.
Wow.
Just put everything in your own in my car, and just head on out.
No, I've got to ask this. So many of us are at a stage in our lives where we're about to graduate and everyone's saying, chase your dreams, but you get to Ralph's and you have $15 on your debit card. You know,
Right.
that's not going to pay for food. What was your mindset when you were driving to California and you said, look, I've got nothing in my car but what I have X amount to sustain myself. How am I going to continue with this vision? What was your mindset?
Well, my mindset was just utter determination. And watching, I would watch so many movies and go home and be inspired. I would watch, there was not many channels on TV, but I would not change the channel until I could come up with an idea or a joke off of what I was watching. So I was just constantly testing myself and writing down everything. I went back to those notebooks, and I've still used a lot of those ideas. It was just determination. Like, as I said, when you're young, you got to just dust it off and just keep on going.
Oh yeah, if you're ready to do stunt work, I mean.
Absolutely, and get killed by David Carradine. So it was just determination and thinking that I've seen the movies and seen what's on TV, that I can do just as good. But I knew, you know, now it's, what is it? You have to do 100 hours or 1,000 hours or 10,000 hours, and there was no self-help books then.
Yeah.
I just kept on doing it. Well, I finished one script, I'll write another. Finish one script, just keep on writing. And, you know, as writers, we don't need others to play with in the sandbox.
Yeah.
We can go home or sit at a
Do it
coffee
yourself.
shop and just keep on writing. You know, and now thanks to cell phones, if you're an actor, you can make your own movie.
Yeah.
Or a director, you can just make your own. So it's a lot easier, but a lot more people are doing it now. But you can post it on YouTube and stuff. I think just utter determination and not being so locked into one idea, like, oh my God, I have to do this idea. You're going to have 9 million ideas. So you finish that, just move on to the next.
Yes.
You're going to have so many ideas. And I remember when I was young, I go, no, I have to do this idea. I didn't realize yet, I'm going to have more. And also write down everything. You know when you go to sleep?
I've heard that before.
You know when you're going to sleep and you have a great idea? I'll remember it, and you never do.
No.
Put a Post-it and a pen by your bed, or talk into your iPhone, and hopefully Siri won't delete it. You know.
Wow, certainly.
You know, just
I need to start doing this.
you have to, because that's when your best ideas are, when you either wake up or go to sleep, right?
Do you know what your best idea has been? Is there any idea of yours that just you said, this is it? This is, you know, this one has my name on it.
My last project, my most recent project, and everything, I feel that way.
Okay.
You know, you have to feel that way because you're going to be putting in a lot of time and effort into it. And you become obsessed. When I'm writing a script, I become obsessed with it. Like I remember going to the movies, and I was watching a movie, and I had a scene in a police station, and the film had a scene in a police station. So suddenly, the movie became a virtual reality made just for me. So I go, okay, so that's where they check in, and that's the holding cell. Oh my God! And then the gun's over here, and the entrance is here, and the drunk tank is over here. And then the scene was over, and I had to turn to my wife and go, what just happened? Because I just art directed my whole scene and saw the world come to life.
Oh, wow.
So you have to be obsessed with each idea, I think, that you have, you know, and otherwise, why do it? Because if you're not interested, no one else is going to be.
Yeah. No, I've heard that when you as writers are writing different scenes or different movies, you already have actors in mind. Is that like that for you with a lot of your projects, or do you feel like you're writing it with characters that you've created and actors may be able to fill in those roles?
I think sometimes I have actors in mind, but not always. Usually the actors, you know, I think a lot of writers can identify with this when you're first starting off and you're reading interviews with famous authors, whether they've written novels or screenplays. They always say, and then the character started talking to me. And I thought, wow, that's like mental illness, isn't it?
Sounds like a drug experience.
Yes, absolutely, that you would pay extra for. And so but when you're starting to write and kind of get into a zone, I write longhand. I'm totally old school, so I write longhand, and it kind of channels out of me. And so, and I've always done that, so when those characters started talking, I go, oh, this is what those authors were talking about. And so it kind of channels out of me, and I have the worst handwriting in the world. And so if I don't type it within like 36 hours, I can't read it because it just channels out. So I just put it up there and type and play loud rock and roll music.
I've got to ask, can you guys throw that photo back up there?
Uh-oh, so that's on the set of Rock and Roll High School. My joke on that is I'm the only one you won't recognize.
I've got to ask, which one are you?
So
because everyone has long hair.
Left to right is Dee Dee Ramone, Joey Ramone, Johnny Ramone, PJ Souls, who was the lead in the movie playing Riff Randall, and she'd already been in Carrie and Halloween and would go on to be in Stripes. And then me, as you can see, I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a flannel shirt because I couldn't afford a coat because Roger Corman doesn't pay much. And then Marky Ramone.
Oh, if this isn't the most awesome photo.
Yeah, it's my Facebook photo.
Well, yeah, you can't ever change that.
Absolutely.
You've got to die with that same profile picture up.
Absolutely.
No, we're going to come right back after the break.
Okay.
We want to ask more about the Ramones. We want to ask a little bit. I want to know about Recess.
Absolutely.
You did writing for that. That
Sure.
was my childhood.
Okay.
In itself. You've done stuff for Roseanne. We're going to talk about all of this after the break, so everyone stay tuned.
Okay, great.
Alexia Narcisse, and we are here with Richard Whitley, who has worked on everything from Recess to Roseanne to Rock and Roll High School. And we talked to him before the break a bit about meeting the Ramones and working with them on one of his films. But now I want to ask him a bit about Recess. For those of you who haven't seen it, it was an animated show, I believe, during the 90s, correct?
Yes.
So I was young when I watched it, but so many people were, you know, full-grown adults who loved it as well. So you've got to tell me a bit about this. Oh, I still remember all the characters from Mikey to the... Okay.
Absolutely. Well, I'm good friends. One of my best friends is Mark Dropp, who was the story editor on Recess, and he lived across the street. And I was writing hour-long television like Millennium and Space Above and Beyond, and also working on Roseanne. And I was walking my dog, and Mark comes out of his apartment, and he goes, I go, how you doing, Mark? He goes, not good. We can't come up with a story for Recess. And I go, what grade is it? I hadn't watched the show. And he goes, well, it's fourth grade, and it's about the kids at Recess. I go, fourth grade. Okay, so I wanted to play hooky from school and go be the first in line to see a James Bond movie. And he goes, oh, that's good. And we walked my dog, and we blocked out the whole story of what became the first motion picture, not the last picture show, the first motion picture show, where TJ needs to be first in line to see Senior Fusion, the motion picture. And we just did it.
Wow.
Now, I'd never written animation, so he goes, oh my God, I'll go tell him that this guy's written movies and all that kind of stuff, wants to do this. So he called me the next night and he goes, you're in, come up with a story. I'm going to send you tapes. And so I watched tapes of the show, and so I went in and I pitched the idea, and they go, great.
We're using it.
We're using it, and so I wrote the script, and it was my, I tell my students, there's a great Claude Lelouch movie called And Now My Love. It was very autobiographical, and in it, the character inspired by Lelouch realizes as a filmmaker, as a writer, to be the most universal, be the most personal.
Wow.
Everyone can relate, no matter where you live on the planet, everyone can relate to falling in love, or parents, or someone you don't like, or someone you hate, or first job, or driver's license, whatever. And so mine was going to the movies when I was 10 years old, and I put it into an animated show. And so they loved it. They go, we want you to do another one. Well, my wife teaches 4th grade, and so she'd seen the episode, and I said, they want me to write another one. And he goes, well, you should do something with student teachers. And that's where I came up with the idea for the episode of The Dude. Which was, well, The Big Lebowski had just come out, so I called him The Dude. And so a joke that I wrote in some screenplay was that, remember in class they would say, if you got caught with gum, the teacher would go, do you have enough for the entire class? Well,
okay.
The Dude did. He had enough gum for the entire class. And so he was a legend on the playground. The TJ and everyone thought he was a legend. And so they all revere him, and it turns out that he's their new student teacher. So to them, he's now one of the enemy. So those were the 2 episodes that I wrote. They were based on real life.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So you were literally just coming up with these ideas. I mean, they were it's just going back into your past.
But that's what writing is.
Yes.
That's what writing is. You should be able to call from your emotions and be able to apply that in any story you do, whether it's 1812 or 2016.
Now, speaking of real life experiences, I
Right.
know we touched a bit off screen about how you met your wife.
Yes.
And I have to make sure that this gets aired, because it's actually from the maybe 20-second snippet I had, it's hilarious.
Okay.
So go ahead and tell me that from the jump.
Well, basically, I went to film school after USC said no. So I'm at Southern Illinois University, trying to see 365 movies a year, and I fall for my roommate's girlfriend. And so in all my in all my student films, she was the female lead. So it was like, she'd get the low angles and the close-ups and stuff. It was clear that I was attracted to her. And so after, and we were best friends. We would talk all the time, which is not knowing when you're a 21-year-old knucklehead that's what relationships should be based on.
Wow, yeah.
And so after college, I came out here, and she eventually broke up with him, and her mom moved out here and to LA, and then so she started to visit more, and then things kind of progressed that way, and I did get a screenplay out of that, of course, because write what you know.
Oh my gosh.
And we're still married, and she loves movies. Absolutely
That's
loves
incredible.
movies, and so I don't watch the movies alone. Actually, she'd visited LA when she was a little kid, and they were showing Yankee Doodle Dandy every day for a week, and they said, hey, you want to go to Knott's Berry Farm? She goes, no, I want to stay and watch Yankee Doodle Dandy again. And when she told me that story in college, I go, I need to marry, I need to, this is who I'm going to fall in love with.
Oh, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
No, I have to wonder, did you guys incorporate movies into your wedding at all?
No.
Oh,
No.
that would have,
No.
that could have been incredible.
Well, but I did propose to her at the old Brown Derby that no longer exists on Vine.
Oh.
I proposed to her in the same booth that Clark Gable proposed to Carol Lombard.
Oh my goodness. That's so romantic.
So that's about as far as it goes. And we went to Paris. So.
Okay, well,
there we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Now, I've got to ask this. This is a bit less romantic, but I saw a signing that you did recently.
Yes.
Now that we're on the topic of women, I just figured it's
No,
an awkward transition. Hopefully your wife's not
well,
like,
Rock and Roll High School has continued to be popular. It's they did, when they did the Blu-ray, my writing partner on the movie, Russ Devanch, and I did the commentary. And so the cast and everyone signed autographs for 2 hours, and a woman came up to me, a fan, and said, would you sign my breast? And I go, but I'm sitting next to a real Ramon, don't you,
Yeah, don't
and
you
so this writer actually got to be a rock star for 30 seconds. And my wife, I have horrible handwriting, which I said earlier. She said, that was the most legible your handwriting has ever been. Well, I had to take my time and make sure,
Oh, yeah.
but writers don't get rock star moments, and so that was fun. That was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't get over this photo.
No, we signed autographs for 2 hours. It was P.J. Soles and Day Young and Vince Van Patten, and it was great. You know? People still like the movie.
I think what gets me about it is you see your professors on campus, and even now,
Yeah.
you guys are dressed so nicely, and you come in and teach a class, but rarely do we see that you actually, you know, you have lives that are exciting and have things going on, and you signed a breast, for God's sake.
I signed a breast.
Coolest professor there could be.
I put that on my resume. That should be on LinkedIn,
Oh, yeah,
too,
I
right?
think that's at the top.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With the year as well, and you got to put a one-sentence description, you know, signed left breast.
Absolutely.
For exactly 30 seconds.
I'm sure Aaron Sorkin and, you know, people like that get to do that all the time, but not me.
Oh, yeah. Now, I've got to ask, in the world of writing, it's probably a small community somewhat. Am I right, within Los Angeles?
Well, there's a lot of writers, and there's a lot of people who want to be writers, but there's, I have friends that I've worked with and stuff that I respect, and we all give each other scripts to give each other notes and stuff like that.
See, I'm wondering what that community is like, because I know in broadcasting it's competitive. So, you know, it's a niche community. Everyone knows each other, and you know who's going up and who's going down. Is it like that in screenwriting, or does it seem to be a little more?
Well, in television, there's competition for staffing jobs and things like that. But if you're a half-hour writer, you're writing comedy, you're not going to be in competition for the hour-long jobs, usually. But now a lot of people go back and forth. But now everyone's doing television and screenwriting. And I remember after Rock and Roll High School, my writing partner and I heard that they were going to do an Animal House TV show called Delta House. So we snuck onto the Universal Studios lot because we didn't have agents. We were just in this little Roger Corman movie and split $3,000 to write this movie. So we snuck onto the Universal Studios lot with the script and said, we want to write for the Animal House TV show. And they go, who are you? And we'll sign and release. And they said, but you wrote a movie and you want to write for television? There was that division then. There was a prejudice that movies were better, you know. But now television is better.
Wow.
You know, and or at least more character driven.
Yes. Now, and speaking of that, do you see yourself moving forward, doing more movies, spending more time teaching? Do you see yourself going into television, animation?
Right.
What can we expect from you in the next 5 years?
Well, I love teaching, so I wanted to continue teaching. And but to me, it's you know, when you come up with an idea, usually you know if it's a movie idea or a television idea. So, but right now I have 3 screenplays with producers attached. I wrote a script about the behind the scenes of the AFL-NFL merger in the first Super Bowl. I wrote a script about the women's Flyers, the Wasp, during World War II that I have producers attached. And I also have a horror comedy about killer cats. So I have all those with producers attached, but at the same time I'm writing a spec pilot with a friend. So, you know, it's usually the idea that turns a writer on, and you usually kind of initially know, oh, that's television or that's features, you know. But never want to stop writing, always going to do something.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
Now, one of the things I noticed about you is that you're so optimistic. Like, I mean, around the clock, this guy's always smiling, always positive. Does that influence your work? Do you feel like when people give you pieces to look at, or when you're considering writing something, you want to make it the most optimistic thing, or have you ever turned down different concepts? Do people come to you with different concepts and you say?
Well, I think, you know, I work in a business, in show business, where, you know, I think the world is glass is half full, and most people don't even think there is a glass. So I work, you know, there's a lot of cynicism and negativity, but, you know, I've been teased for that, you know, in writers' rooms, that I was positive. But you know what? It's like I still get goosebumps when I go in a movie studio lot. I mean, this is where Billy Wilder and Preston Sturges and Patty Chayefsky worked. I mean, these are my writing heroes, and so why wouldn't I be excited to be where they are? And so, and if you're not excited to do that, or excited by that, or by the history of the industry, I think you're in the wrong industry. And so, as far as turning down things, no. I mean, usually, or when I give notes in my class, I always try to be positive and have constructive criticism, because trust me, I've gotten notes where people basically said, I think you should move to Montana and never be legally allowed to pick up a pen.
Oh my gosh.
You know, so those are bad notes. But, you know, I try to be positive with my notes, and hopefully that karma comes back.
Oh, certainly. Well, I mean, it's given off in your aura, in the way you talk, and the way you talk about your passion. And what I found is, in interviewing people, you can tell when someone loves what they do. And I think that it's nailed through our head going through undergrad just pick a job you love, do what you love, but
Right.
people try so many things and you don't like what you're doing. You knew that this was your passion.
I did,
You knew
yeah.
that this was something that you wanted to do. Do you feel like at the end of the day, this was your calling? Do you feel like this was what you
Absolutely.
came to this earth to do?
Absolutely, absolutely. I don't. There's decisions I made for my career that I regret sometimes, but I don't regret having gone this way or this route. I still love it. I still write every single day, and I still love coming to my class for 3 hours every week, getting to talk about two of my favorite things, which is writing and movies. And so, no, I don't regret any of it.
Wow.
I love it.
That's incredible. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for taking the time to come today. If people do want to follow you or find your social media, is there a way that they can contact you?
Yes. I think I'm at Richard. Is it at the Rich Whitley or
On Twitter?
I'm holding. Yeah, on Twitter. I'm holding, and I'm on Facebook. I'm holding a martini glass from Harry's Bar
Oh,
in Venice,
yeah.
Italy. So that's me. Or contact some of my former students. With my email. I've had people contact me through email. So, but if you just, a lot of former students still that are in show business trying to traverse the deep waters.
Oh, yeah.
Still contact me.
Oh, and they're coming
for
back to the
advice.
guy who knows it all.
Well,
the best and
no,
most positive.
Not all of it. Still a lot to learn.
Oh, stellar.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
All of you, tune in for next week. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
You're watching Trojan Vision. For more of your favorite shows, check us out at trojanvision.com and like us on Facebook.
When my friend said she was into it, I was scared.
I heard about it freshman year, but I totally avoided it.
She'd never really gotten involved in stuff like this before.